My stepsister, who transmigrated here, thinks she's the chosen one. She thinks she can thrive in this ancient era. She doesn't know that in this dynasty transmigrators are the emperor's most hated existence. Every one of them who exposed their identity met a miserable end. And I, as the only transmigrator who knows the emperor's secret, have been by his side, hiding for 5 whole years. My stepsister just arrived. To catch the emperor's attention, she deliberately recited the poem, "Bring in the wine," at the palace banquet. She thought this would show off her talent and make her the emperor's favorite concubine, but she never expected that, the moment she finished, the entire palace would fall into a deathly silence. The Emperor Murong Xuan began to exude murderous intent. I looked at my stepsister Shen Ming Yue with pity. She doesn't know that the emperor hates transmigrators the most. Now, even with our father's protection, I'm afraid she won't live much longer. Did you write this poem yourself? Yes, Your Majesty. She didn't notice the atmosphere in the palace had changed and was still feeling smug. I was just inspired at the banquet, so I improvised this poem. As Shen Ming Yue said this, she shot me a triumphant look, then knelt obediently on the ground, waiting for the emperor to be pleased and grant her a title. But Murong Xuan just fell silent for a moment, then sneered. Improvised? Yes. Shen Ming Yue looked up, her eyes shining with the anticipation of favor. I thought the banquet was lively today, so I couldn't help but recite this to add to the fun. Stop, Your Majesty, please spare us. I have failed to teach my daughter well. She is young and ignorant. What poem? She was just babbling nonsense. Father. Shen Ming Yue looked up at our father in shock, not understanding why her own father would take away her credit. She was so close. She could have made the emperor look at her with admiration, maybe even be named a noble consort, or even become the empress. This moment, tears welled up in Shen Ming Yue's eyes. Even though she was still in the Golden Throne Hall, she couldn't help but question our father. Are you still favoring my older sister? Don't tell me you're going to let her take credit for my poem too? Prime Minister Li, standing nearby, couldn't watch anymore. Miss Shen, do you know? This poem was written by a traitor from the previous dynasty. She suddenly covered her mouth, almost blurting out the words, Tang Dynasty poetry. I held my wine cup, sighing inwardly. This stepsister of mine clearly doesn't understand the situation. This dynasty is completely different from the history she knows. The person who first recited "Bring in the wine" in the previous dynasty was the emperor's first love, and the first transmigrator of this dynasty, Xiao Xiao. Ever since Xiao Xiao disappeared, this poem has been banned. Those who copy it are beheaded, those who recite it are strangled, and she recited it right in front of the Son of Heaven, and even claimed it as her own. She's truly brought shame upon our family. Miss Shen, you say you wrote this poem. Then let me ask you, heaven has made us talents, we're not made in vain. What use do you intend to put your talent to? Shen Ming Yue's face turned pale. Shen Ming Yue was panicked and flustered, wishing she could crawl into a hole in the ground. I couldn't help but cover my forehead. What a fool. She can't even adapt her plagiarism. Not only did she fail to impress, she brought disaster upon herself. Shen Ming Yue stammered, unable to find an excuse, looking at our father for help in a panic. Father stepped forward voluntarily. Your Majesty, my daughter is ignorant. She heard me reciting it in the study and learned it by accident. Father sighed, bowing his head to the ground. Minister Shen, you are the grand tutor of this dynasty, yet you admit to reciting banned poetry in your study? Seems you have a death wish. As soon as he said this, the court fell into a deathly silence. Father's bowed face turned ashen. As a grand tutor for 2 reigns, he was wise his whole life, but now he's ruined by a concubine's daughter. This time, father was directly demoted, stripped of the official hat he'd worn his whole life, and exiled to Lingnan. Only then did Shen Ming Yue realize she had caused a disaster, but it was too late. She cried pitifully, kneeling on the ground and kowtowing to me for mercy. Sister, Empress sister, please plead for him. That's our father. But I remained unmoved. After all, he brought this on himself, insisting on touching the emperor's reverse scale. There was nothing I could do. After the court was dismissed, only the 2 of us were left in the Golden Throne Hall. You brought this on yourself. If father hadn't taken the blame for you, the one dying on the golden steps right now would be you. Shen Yue and I are not from the same mother. She was born to a concubine. I had heard her mother, concubine Lin, say more than once, that vixen Shen Ming Yue, 146, she must have some tricks up her sleeve. But the only reason she's Empress is because the Emperor hasn't met our daughter. If our Yuru could meet the Emperor, the Empress position wouldn't be hers anymore. So for this banquet, father and concubine Lin racked their brains, going to great lengths to bring her into the palace. I had spies in the Shen household. The moment Shen Yue first spoke, saying things like, "How can a brainwashed ancient woman compare to a transmigrator?" I knew she was a transmigrator too. It's just a pity that transmigrators in this dynasty aren't superior to anyone else. In fact, they have it worse. Every transmigrator who exposes their identity ends up dying a miserable death. Unfortunately, the newly transmigrated Shen Yue didn't know this. To show off, she caused such a massive disaster. The Emperor returned to the inner chamber. I quietly got up and walked over. Through the translucent curtains, Murong Xuan's voice drifted over. "Empress, are you here to beg me to spare your father?" I shook my head gently. "Your servant is only worried about your majesty and will not plead for anyone. Father's exile is because he failed to teach his daughter and was in the wrong first." Murong Xuan sneered, suddenly lifting the curtain. His eyes stared straight at me, as if his gaze could pierce right through me. "You're quite considerate. Grand Tutor Shen is your own father. Please me. You'd even abandon your own father?" I maintained my bowing posture. Graceful, gentle, and obedient. Father is my biological father, and blood is thicker than water. But the daughter he raised, reciting poetry at the banquet, nearly shook the foundations of the nation. That is disloyalty. Knowing the previous dynasty's traitor's poetry is banned, yet indulging his daughter's recklessness. That is unwise. I looked up and met Murong Xuan's gaze. His pupils were bottomless. Every time we locked eyes, felt like a test and a probe, and I, having been by his side for 5 years, am best at telling him what he wants to hear. I am a daughter of the Shen family. But more importantly, I am the Empress of Dayan. Loyalty to the Emperor outweighs personal family ties. What a fine loyalty to the Emperor, outweighing personal family ties. He reached out, his cold fingertips pinching my chin. "Shen Ming Yue, your mouth is even more eloquent than your father's pen." His grip tightened, making my jaw ache. I didn't learn this just today. In an emperor's heart, there is never any room for sentiment. I tilted my head back, making my eyes look as gentle as possible. It's just that father being exiled 3,000 miles away is already a heavy punishment. The Shen clan still has the elderly and the young. I hope your majesty will consider that they were never involved and show mercy. Father was exiled, and my stepsister Shen Yue was thrown into the dungeon. The Shen family has already fallen apart. Those remaining in the capital are just honest, simple scholars. They shouldn't be implicated. Murong Xuan smiled slightly and let go of me. "You're quite thoughtful. But soon." He wrapped his arm around my waist. "Shen Ming Yue, do you know why you became Empress?" Murong Xuan traced my face with near-obsessive focus. The surrounding palace mates knelt in a flurry, too terrified to even breathe. They were trembling like cicadas in winter, but I forced myself to remain calm. "I know." "Oh. And why is that?" "Because I look like the late Empress." Upon hearing the words late Empress, I felt a chill. Murong Xuan's expression changed instantly. He swept everything off the table with a backhand motion. Everything shattered into pieces on the floor. That woman didn't even accept the decree to be Empress and abandoned me to leave. How could she be considered the former Empress? I lowered my head and cast my eyes down. I had been in the palace for 5 years. I knew this was the greatest regret in Murong Xuan's heart. Back then, he had just conquered this land and secured his place on the dragon throne. He wanted to make the girl he loved his Empress. But that girl, Xiao Xiao, told him that she came from the future, from another dimension. Her purpose in coming to this world was simply to help Murong Xuan become emperor. Later, when her mission was complete, she had to return to her own home. At that time, Murong Xuan begged her desperately. He was willing to give up the throne just to ask her not to leave, but the girl still left him cruelly, disappearing from this world entirely. Ever since then, The emperor became a ruthless tyrant who killed at will, especially hating and even executing any time travelers who revealed their identities. But it wasn't that I hadn't seen it. In the imperial study, and in Murong Xuan's palace, portraits of Xiao Xiao were hidden. That was his weakness, and also the softest spot in his heart. Several times, Murong Xuan almost killed me. But in the end, looking at this face of mine, he still couldn't bring himself to do it, just like now. Ming Yue, you know quite a lot. However, I still advise you, keep your mouth shut about things you shouldn't say. Don't talk nonsense, otherwise I can't guarantee how much longer you will remain Empress. I breathed a sigh of relief inwardly. Just as I was about to take my leave, Murong Xuan turned and walked behind the dragon desk, picked up a memorial, and spoke nonchalantly. Before Grand Tutor Shen was exiled, he had someone deliver a secret letter. Ah! My heart tightened suddenly. He said he was willing to hand over the military seal used to assist the late emperor in ascending the throne in exchange for Shen Yuxi's life. I shuddered, unable to stand steady. I could barely stand. That military seal was the Shen family's life-saving charm. The late emperor had personally bestowed it to be passed down through generations. It was never to be brought out unless the country was in crisis. My father actually did this for that concubine's daughter who caused such a catastrophe. Did the emperor agree? My voice trembled. Murong Xuan looked up. Do you think I should agree? He had long known that my father held the military seal. Exiling my father was just a tactic to force him to hand it over, and I, from the moment I stepped into this inner palace, became a pawn for him to test my father. Your Majesty, I dare not comment on state affairs, but Xin Yuru deserves her punishment. If the late emperor's last wishes are broken because of her, I fear it would be inappropriate. The Empress is right. Since that's the case, then I will seize the military power, and also send Shen Yuru to the palace laundry department. Let her be a menial maid. I hadn't even reacted yet. As for you, stay in the Buddha Hall tonight and pray for my blessing. Yes. Having been Empress for 5 years, everyone thinks I am the mother of the world, the most noble woman in this world. But they don't know that every night, I am either kneeling before the Buddha statue praying, or kneeling in the cold night, letting Murong Xuan vent his anger, or occasionally, he would whip me heavily. Only when he was overwhelmed by his emotions would he allow me to stay by his side. No, Xiao Xiao, don't leave me. At this moment, I was kneeling on the prayer mat in the Buddha Hall, staring blankly at the Buddha statue in front of me. Behind me came the voice of the palace maid, Changpu. Empress, you have already given Murong Xuan 5 years. Now you are still living this life of being bullied by others. I don't understand. How much longer are you going to endure this? Do you want to kill that dog of an emperor? Just say the word, and I will go through fire and water, without hesitation. Changpu is like me, and even like Xiao Xiao. Both are time travelers from another world. In the modern world, she was a secret agent, and had excellent martial arts skills. When she first arrived, she almost offended the emperor. But I saved her, so she stayed by my side as a palace maid. I shook my head gently. Changpu, wait a little longer. I know. It won't be long now. Sure enough, later, something happened. To celebrate my father finally handing over the 100,000-strong military power, Murong Xuan wanted to hold a palace banquet, inviting all the civil and military officials to celebrate with the heavens. But unexpectedly, they were horrified to discover that the military seal handed over by Grand Tutor Shen was fake. That day, Changpu was helping me with my makeup. The door of the cunning palace was kicked open violently. Immediately after, a group of imperial guards burst in. Empress, I am acting under the emperor's orders to search for the military seal. I ask for your cooperation. How bold. This is the Empress's cunning palace. How dare you act so wildly here? Changpu clenched her fists, murderous intent appearing in her eyes. I quickly pressed her hand and shook my head gently. I stood up and looked at the commander of the Imperial Guards, General Song. I have also heard that the Emperor's newly acquired military seal was swapped. But you come to search the cunning palace. Are you worried that I, a mere woman, could swap a military seal for 100,000 troops? The commander of the Imperial Guards raised his chin and sneered. Humph. After all, you were taught by the Empress's father. Whether it was swapped or hidden, I will only know after I have searched. The commander waved his hand, and the dozen or so Imperial Guards behind him scattered instantly, searching the cunning palace. Since that's the case, then General, feel free to search. Anyway, the military seal won't be in the cunning palace, and no one would be so stupid as to leave it there waiting for others to search. Sure enough, half an hour later, those Imperial guards found nothing. General, there is no military seal. How is this possible? The Emperor clearly said that this military seal was real when it was obtained, and it was swapped for a fake one overnight. If the Empress didn't do it, who else could it be? General Song, the search is over now. Are you still going to linger here? If you dare to break into the cunning palace outside the palace, don't blame me for reporting you to the Emperor, saying that you, General Song, have ulterior motives and are coveting the Empress. I will take my leave, Your Majesty. The commander of the Imperial Guard's expression changed instantly, and he hurriedly prepared to leave. But just then, a series of rapid, thunderous footsteps came from outside the door. Shen Ming Yue, stop pretending. Murong Xuan walked in aggressively, followed by an old Taoist priest with a white beard, in addition to the Imperial Guards. He looked at me coldly. You are the one who took the military seal. Shen Ming Yue, I will give you one last chance. Hand over the military seal. Your Majesty is joking. I am just a woman. I haven't even seen what the military seal looks like. So how can I hand it over? You still dare to argue? Ah! Besides you, who has the ability to swap the military seal right under my nose? Furthermore, I have already asked the Imperial Preceptor to look into it. He is extremely accurate in judging people. He said that there is a lonely soul from another world living in your body. Empress, are you still refusing to tell the truth? No wonder you are always so calm. It turns out you have been hiding it from me for 5 whole years. You, Shen Ming Yue, are actually also a time traveler from another world. The surroundings exploded into chaos. The Imperial Guards and those trembling palace maids looked up at me suddenly, looking at each other in dismay. Is it true or false? No wonder the Empress is so different from the original. Song Xiao Xiao. Turns out they are from the same place. My God, first Grand Tutor Shen was exiled, and now the Empress is identified as a time traveler. I guess the Imperial Court is going to change again. Whispers continued to spread all around. It's just a pity. Shen Ming Yue, did you think you hadn't shown any flaws in these 5 years? Suddenly, he waved his hand, and the group of Imperial Guards brought over a woman who was covered in wounds and beaten beyond recognition. Empress Changpu, I haven't seen you for a while. So it turns out, Changpu was actually captured by Murong Xuan's men. Empress, I didn't confess anything. They just recognized my martial arts skills and concluded that I am a transmigrator. Empress, don't admit to it. They are just trying to force a confession through torture. They only want the military seal. Whatever you haven't done, you must never admit to it. I clenched my fists tightly, without saying a word. Shen Ming Yue, if I remember correctly, Changpu is your most favored confidant, right? Hand over the military seal obediently, and admit your identity as a transmigrator, and I will let her go. Murong Xuan waved his hand lazily. The Imperial Guards behind him suddenly drew sharp daggers and walked toward Changpu. I will have them slice Changpu to pieces. Your Majesty, if you suspect me, you can come at me directly. There is no need to make things difficult for a little maid. Is she really just an ordinary maid? You should know better than I do, Empress. Seeing me remain silent, Murong Xuan clearly became impatient. He waved his hand again. The Imperial Guard took the dagger in his hand and stabbed toward Changpu without blinking. 1 cut. 2 cuts. Changpu's face was covered in blood and mud-stained sweat. Her forehead was throbbing with pain, veins bulging. But she held it in. Without making a sound, I closed my eyes, feeling these few seconds were harder to bear than anything else. Hurry up. Why is there still no news? Just as I was about to reach my limit, and was preparing to stand up to protect Changpu, a commotion broke out outside the Cunning Palace. Your Majesty, the rebel army is attacking the city. I opened my eyes abruptly, and scrambled up from the floor almost instantly, to shield Changpu. Murong Xuan heard the news and was stunned. What did you say? What rebel army? But just as he finished speaking, the crisp sound of blades piercing flesh rang out repeatedly. Zung. Those caught off-guard Imperial guards lay scattered on the ground, and the entire cunning palace had been surrounded by my people. Murong Xuan turned his head in disbelief, looking at me in horror. Shen Ming Yue, what have you done? I had just slipped a life-saving pill into Changpu's mouth. At this moment, I finally didn't have to pretend anymore. I slowly stood up. Murong Xuan, you guessed right. The military seal was indeed swapped by me. I had it sent out of the palace overnight. The military seal is naturally more useful in the hands of a general. Didn't you want to ask me where the military seal is? It was sent to General Zhenbei long ago. Oh, forgot to tell you. General Zhenbei is my late brother, Shen Yan. Murong Xuan's eyes darkened instantly. He probably realized it too. When he ascended the throne years ago, a general named Shen had performed great meritorious service. He casually appointed him General Zhenbei. But he didn't know that Shen Yan and Grand Tutor Shen were actually father and son. And he didn't know that this person had long been working for me. Shen Ming Yue, I really underestimated you. I looked straight at him, my face no longer showing any fake smiles or submissiveness. I survived in the palace, biding my time carefully for 5 years, not just to be a bullied empress. Over these 5 years, I have built up my strength, won over court officials, and have long had the cruel and bloodthirsty Murong Xuan in the palm of my hand. Murong Xuan is bloodthirsty by nature, and especially hates transmigrators because he knows what kind of power they possess. Those who made soap, invented glass. He wouldn't even spare those who ate hot pot. For 5 whole years, in the palace, because they were suspected of being transmigrators, they were executed on the spot. I don't know how many died. Watching the palace run red with blood, I had no choice but to take risks and meticulously plan today's situation. This moment, I stood tall. Murong Xuan, your time is up. Shen Ming Yue, don't talk so big, you might bite your tongue. You're not the first one who wanted me dead. On the contrary, those assassins who wanted my life. The grass on their graves is already very tall. My Empress is truly courageous. I just wonder how long you can hold out. As he spoke, he blew a whistle. Suddenly, a group of secret guards jumped out from the eaves. My expression changed instantly. Perhaps you didn't expect this, Empress? Even you didn't know of the existence of these secret guards. They are the ones who can save my life at critical moments. I and the people behind me immediately went on high alert. At Murong Xuan's command, guard, kill this bitch Shen Ming Yue and all the rebels. Your Majesty, you retreat first. We will protect you. I quickly dragged Changpu, preparing to retreat, but just then, Murong Xuan suddenly began to cough violently. He clutched his chest and bent over, his face as pale as paper. Cough, cough, cough. He gasped for air as he reached for the secret compartment under the dragon desk, his fingertips trembling so much he couldn't even open the drawer. Shen Ming Yue, give it to me. The furong powder. The secret guards stopped in their tracks, looking at their crumbling master. Murong Xuan's forehead veins bulged. Hurry. My old illness is acting up. Only your furong powder can save me. I couldn't help but sneer. Heaven is truly helping me. These 5 years, taking advantage of when Murong Xuan was injured in the autumn hunt to help him with the pain, I gave him furong powder for the first time. Since then, he became addicted. Every time his illness flared up, he would kneel and beg me for the powder. Otherwise, he would suffer the pain of bone-eroding agony. Didn't your Majesty say that those who wanted your life already have tall grass on their graves? If you want the furong powder, order all your secret guards to commit suicide right here. Shen Ming Yue, are you crazy? This is my last bargaining chip. Do you think I'm a fool? If they all die, wouldn't I be at your mercy? But right now, you are also at my mercy. Especially, ever since he used the furong powder I personally handed him. When his illness acts up, he's like a dog. Even if he is forcing himself to endure it now, even biting his tongue until it bleeds, it cannot change the fact that the addiction is rampaging through his body, practically wanting to take his life. Shen Ming Yue, if you don't want to die, hand over the furong powder obediently. Your Majesty, only I know how to prepare the furong powder. Since your Majesty won't listen, then I have no way to hand it over. Your Majesty can slowly endure this corrosive pain. As long as I can stall for time, Shen Yan will soon be able to lead those so-called rebels into the imperial city and take it in one fell swoop. It's just a pity that Murong Xuan couldn't care about that anymore. He rolled on the ground in agony, even crawling with difficulty to my feet, begging with bloodshot eyes. Ming Yue, I don't blame you for rebelling. I can pretend none of this ever happened. I won't even hold the military power issue against you as long as you obediently give me the furong powder. Watching his bloodshot eyes, and the way he begged humbly like a mad dog, a flash of disgust crossed my eyes. Look at yourself. Are you fit to be an emperor? Kicked him, and had the secret guards around me restrain him, tying him up tightly. It's fine if you don't want the guards to commit suicide. Murong Xuan, do you dare tell the world? Did Xiao Xiao really transmigrate and leave back then? Seeing the intense murderous intent in my eyes, Murong Xuan suddenly narrowed his eyes. What nonsense are you spouting? She didn't leave? What other possibility is there? I have been searching bitterly. If she hadn't insisted on leaving, why would I be so obsessed? This was said so affectionately that even I almost believed it. But I know the truth is something else. The original transmigrator Xiao Xiao didn't transmigrate back after completing her mission, but was killed by Murong Xuan himself. Murong Xuan narrowed his eyes, looking incredulous. What nonsense are you spouting? Everyone knows Xiao Xiao is my white moonlight. If it weren't for her back then, I wouldn't have fought for this throne. The first thing I did after ascending the throne was to make Xiao Xiao my empress. And you dare to say I killed her? Just to rebel. You've made up such nonsense. Whether I'm lying or not, only you know in your heart. Back then, Xiao Xiao clearly led the rebel army to take the capital. She never intended to help you ascend the throne. She clearly planned to sit on that throne herself. It was you who harbored murderous intent. You believed a woman couldn't be an emperor. You thought no matter how capable she was, she could only be your accessory. You forgot she saved you in your time of crisis. But in the face of imperial power, you still killed her with your own hands. When she died, she was bleeding everywhere. Only her wide, questioning eyes stared at you until the very end, wanting to ask why. Murong Xuan, is there a single word of deviation in what I said? The color drained from Murong Xuan's face instantly. It was as if his layers of disguise had been stripped away in public, leaving only naked terror. How could you know all this? He realized his reaction was wrong the moment he spoke, and quickly tried to correct himself. Shen Ming Yue, this is nothing but your wild speculation. She clearly transmigrated here. She finished her mission and wanted to go back. How could it be that I killed her? No one knows this royal secret. The original white moonlight, Xiao Xiao, never left this palace from beginning to end. Instead, because it involved Murong Xuan's imperial power, she was murdered by his own hands. He then widely publicized that she was a transmigrator who had abandoned him. He built the image of a devoted emperor, and later embarked on massive construction projects, building the stargazing tower, recruiting national masters to refine elixirs, seeking the art of immortality, and even thinking about researching ways to travel through time. One by one, piece by piece, he laid all the blame on Xiao Xiao. Yet he didn't know that Xiao Xiao was the one who had been slandered. More wrong than Do-yi. I closed my eyes and poured all the hibiscus powder in my hand into Murong Xuan's mouth. He was excited at first, but soon began to tremble uncontrollably in a frenzy. The bleeding from her wounds had already stopped. She glanced at the frantic Murong Xuan, her eyes filled with satisfaction. Empress, is Murong Xuan about to die? An overdose of hibiscus powder will be fatal. I didn't speak, but just looked ahead. In less than the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, with my people working from inside and outside the palace, Shen Yan had already led troops to surround the palace layer by layer. The entire palace was under my control. Those secret guards had long since been restrained. As for Murong Xuan, he was already driven mad by the overdose of hibiscus powder. She was overestimating herself. A woman wanting to be an empress in this man-eating era. It was simply wishful thinking. She had long hair and short insight. What could she understand? Ruling the world is not as simple as she thought. She insisted on snatching my throne, so I had no choice but to get rid of her. He cried and laughed, his dragon robe stained with mud, becoming filthy and unbearable. I coldly pressed him. Where is Xiao Xiao? Where is she? Murong Xuan finally took me outside the palace to an underground secret chamber. There lay an ice coffin, with Xiao Xiao sleeping inside. Even though she was dressed neatly and looked dignified and noble, the dozen knife wounds on her body were still clearly visible. Looking at her face, which I hadn't seen for years, I couldn't help but shed tears. Xiao Xiao, I've avenged you. A monarch who ruins his country deserves the retribution he gets. I had people tie Murong Xuan up and threw him at the city gate, letting the people vent their anger. Over these years, under his rule, the people have lived in misery. He could embark on massive construction projects, living a life of extreme extravagance, without caring about the people at all. During the Great Drought last year, to build a new palace, he forcibly intercepted the disaster relief grain. When an epidemic raged in the east of the city, he only ordered the city to be sealed, leaving the people to fend for themselves. In the worst year, he even searched the city for suspected transmigrators. Anyone who met the criteria was to be executed on the spot, without exception. The innocent people he executed under the charge of being transmigrators, their bones must have piled up like a mountain. But now, he has finally received his own retribution. Murong Xuan was tied to a stone pillar with thick hemp ropes, his luxurious dragon robe already torn to shreds. His face was covered in several bloody scratches, yet he still held his head high, his eyes staring fixedly at me on the city wall. Shen Ming Yue, you will die a horrible death. However, soon, his roar was drowned out by even more intense curses. Someone threw rotten vegetable leaves at him. Someone waved their fists and wanted to rush up, but was held back by the guards. I stood in the shadows of the city wall, watching that once arrogant emperor reduced to a prisoner. My fingertips were cold. There were even some people who excitedly took knives and cut him. I didn't stop them. I just specifically instructed, to avoid vital organs, don't let him die so quickly. Until later, Murong Xuan was covered in blood, on the verge of death. After the crowd dispersed, I walked towards Murong Xuan. Murong Xuan was now traumatized, trembling all over in fear when he saw me. What throne? What power? All had become fleeting clouds. He just wanted to survive, even wishing he could kowtow and kneel, begging me to spare his life. I am willing to give up the throne. Let you ascend as Empress. Okay. Shen Ming Yue, for the sake of the 5 years we were husband and wife, please spare my life. Murong Xuan, do you know why I look so much like Xiao Xiao? Why? Is it because you are from the same place? So you hate me? Because I killed Xiao Xiao. So you want to avenge her? Because she was my own sister. It was because of Xiao Xiao that I transmigrated to this dynasty. From beginning to end, I lurked here, pretending to be obedient as the Empress, hiding it very well. There was only one goal, and that was to avenge my sister. This moment, Murong Xuan was terrified beyond measure and begged me in a hoarse voice to spare his life. I turned around without looking at him and just ordered the Imperial Guards to pierce his heart with 1,000 arrows and then bury him.